Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of My Faith with Homer and Pip. Homer?
Well, I thought, Tommy, I haven't given people enough information on my obsession with Mother Teresa. That needs to be a part of my faith.
Yeah.
So we'll quote her. Amidst all the poverty she dealt with in India, she said, in the West, you have another kind of poverty, spiritual poverty, far worse. People do not believe in God, do not pray, people do not care for each other. You have the poverty of people who are dissatisfied with what they have, who do not know how to suffer, who give in to despair. This poverty of heart is often more difficult to relieve and to defeat.
Wow.
All right, Tommy.
That's beautiful. You know, Homer, I so much of my time, I don't know if people can relate just going through life and being present in situations. And when we were together this morning over breakfast, in fact, I had the pleasure of watching a young lady, a special needs individual, perhaps with Down syndrome, sweet as could be, walking hand in hand with a woman who appeared to be. And then as I was driving out, I saw two people who obviously been married for decades. They had the same flannel shirts on, and they were exiting the restaurant hand in hand. I thought that was pretty cool. Examples of God's love and presence everywhere, I guess. And certainly our guest is well aware of the presence of God. She has a remarkable faith story. Her name is Katie Doss. Katie, so nice to have you with us again.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Welcome to My Faith with Homer and Pip. You bet. And our producer, Brent Young. It doesn't happen without him. Homer, as always, you kick it off as you talk about faith with Katie.
This doesn't change. We're about to get the faith resume of Katie, and your only decision right now is how do you choose to start, at what age, at what position, or with what story? Take it away.
I started and understanding a little bit and taught more of faith when I was around 11 years old. I was taught before then, but 11 years old is when I had experienced what it was, understanding of what my grandmother was trying to teach me, more or less. She was an evangelist, and she really taught and thought so much on faith. And during that time, I had lost my brother. And my brother, I was 11 years old. It was in 1974, and I didn't understand death that close. I never had no one that close to me die, so I really didn't, understand it as much as I do now. Over the years, I've lost quite a few people, and then, but that is where it all began.
What did she tell you that you remember even today?
That God is going to take you through it, that you have to have faith within God, and that you have to understand that God is, you have to depend on Him, and you have to call on God to help you through it. It's going to be good days, it's going to be bad days, it's going to be hard, but the memories that you share with that person is very special. But you got to have faith and believe that God will take you through it, and not to give up.
And then when did it happen where you said, oh my God, she's right? There had to be a point in which it occurred to you that you realized that she was correct.
Well, like I say, over years, things have happened, and it was just remarkable, with a lot of ups and downs in my life, and knowing that I believe in God, and knowing that God has taken me through it. Like I say, the first time was with my when I was 11 years old, was due to my brother, and then my mother in 1988. I didn't know how I was gonna make it through with the death of her, and then to go on and know what it was like to live and to be there and to know that God was going to take me through it, because I had three children at that time, and my mother told me that I have, because she knew she was dying, and she had that cancer, and she told me, she said, you have to be strong for my mother and for my sister, and that I need you to believe in God and have faith in God, and He'll take you through it. And I was like, I can't. And she said, yes, you can. And then I had my grandmother, even though I was supposed to be strong for her, she gave me the strength to carry on by believing and seeing her go through it, and trying to be strong for her is really what did it. And, just like I say, just challenges over the years of being a single mother and trying to make ends meet and work and, just live.
How have you done it? It's one thing to say, but I'm saying, do you pray or is it being time by yourself? There have to be things that you have done to achieve what you just stated.
I
How?
mean, yeah, I do. I pray, and then I just, when, like I say, with the faith of it, it's more or less of it's a feeling that you get, and it's an understanding that you have to ask God to give you the strength to go on. Like times when you just like want to give up, and you cry, and you just go through so much, and you just don't know how you're gonna make it, and then you just ask God to give me the strength to go on, to give me the strength to carry on, to give me the knowledge and knowing what's to come. And you don't. You just, like I say, like how it is, pay a bill, take care of your children. Just knowing that it's gonna be is you just knowing that God's gonna make a way. You gotta have faith, and faith is something that it's kind of hard to explain as far as like it's not something you see, it's something you know. It's something that you feel, it's something that you believe in, and that you know that if you ask on it, that it's gonna happen and God is gonna see it through. It's not like, like you can look at a flower, and it's just like, well, that's almost it. Like you plant a seed and you just know that that seed's gonna grow into a flower, and that's how it is. It's just like you have to water that seed though. You can't just plant it and expect for it to just grow with that. You got to believe that it's gonna grow, but you got to put a little work into it as well. And that's basically what it is that you ask God for the forgiveness, you ask God for the strength, but you have to put forth an effort to carry on through that, and knowing that God is going to take you through it.
When has it been the toughest? When have you felt the furthest from God? When have you been challenged the most? You've already given examples of some really tough situations of death in your family.
Yes, death in the family, being a mother of 5 children, like I say, seeing ends meet and taking care of them, sending them to school, working, putting a roof over their head, feeding them, living. The latest one was the death of my brother. I'm sorry. The first one was the death of my brother. The last one, just recently, was the death of my son. When my son got killed, I asked God to give me the strength, and I'm still going through it. I still have good times and bad times. I have bad dreams still, but I ask God to give me the strength to carry on. It's hard, even though I have 4 children. They're grown now, but they're still my children, and they're taking care of themselves. They're doing their thing, but it's still hard for me because that was my son, and to know that I know God is gonna make a way for me to, you know, like I say, to just keep a smile on my face and to keep going.
I,
I thank God for his son.
I, I don't know what particulars that you can tell us. Every time you speak, you tell us something that's even tougher. What can you tell us about the death of your son that you're comfortable with, that again circles to the incredible strength of your faith?
Well, like I say, that was, you know, 2010 was before my son. My son got killed 2021. And 2010 was the last person that I lost that was extremely close to me, which was my father. And when my son got killed, that was a tragedy. And with that, I didn't I didn't know how, you know, I didn't I never had the you know of what it was going to be like. I mean, even though I've had death, I never had somebody that was come for me. I mean, my mother, my father, my grandmother, they were older than me. And they, it was a loss with them. But with my son, it was a death. It was a killing. It was a murder. It was different. Not saying, I don't know how to say it. It's just with that, it was tragic. It was more tragedy I mean, with them, they were sick. They had illness. My grandmother, of old age. My father, a heart attack. It was 89, and then my mother with cancer. Even though they try to prepare you for them, it's still nothing that you prepare for when it comes to death. But when a tragedy happens, it's even worse because with that, you like it's a shocker. I was just on the phone with him right before it happened. Then to get the call that he was, that they found his body, that was, something that I didn't know. And I asked God to give me the strength to, I had to say my goodbyes, and it was hard, and even today it's still hard, because it's never going to be the same. It's a different normal. I have memories. I have a son, and I have God to give me the strength on hard nights. I have hard dreams, bad dreams, and it's still hard, but it's something that I I know God has took me this far, even going through the court system to go through the trial of his murder. That was extremely hard, and to sit in a courtroom and to go through it, all of that was something I never experienced. I pray to God I never have to again, and just asking God to give me the strength, just like today for being here. Last night was a hard night. It was a dream of, and meditation. I mean, I, I, I know that I keep saying the faith of God and knowing that God taking me through it and knowing that God is with me and knowing that, that's all I have. I have him. And I know that that's a lot. I know it sounds like when I say that's all I have, but that's a lot. By the faith in him, knowing that he's, with me through it all. I'm not alone.
Every every time you talk, you amaze me. Now the latest is just this horror, and you smile. You can't see it. You have a smile when you say some of these things.
Yeah, I do because I know that I have God. And I know that God is taking me through it. I mean, that is the joy and that is the pleasure that I have knowing that I'm not going through this alone. And knowing that my grandmother taught me the love of God and knowing that a lot of people would understand like, how you have the strength to go through this and by yourself. And I'm like, I'm not by myself. I couldn't made it without God. And if God didn't give me the strength to wake up this morning, to go on, to be here, to be able to talk to you all, and to just be able to know that the love that I have for God, that the love that I know that He's resting in peace, my son, and that that day gonna come when our spirits is gonna meet again. And and I'm just thankful for you know 29 years I had with him, the memories that I shared, and the opportunity of being his mother. I mean, to see the grown man that he turned into, and to knowing that I had a part of that, and to say that that's my son, I'm proud.
Given your strength and your faith, that's the only reason I can ask this. You now have to address forgiveness. I don't
Yeah.
I don't know how to ask that, but I know seeing the smile, that it is something that you have thought about. I'm sure of that.
Yes. And I did. I had to forgive him for me because, when you hold grudges and you hold anger and hate, it hurts you. You have to forgive, and that's the hardest thing, is because somebody did something to you, but you got to forgive them, and that forgiveness comes from you to move on. That forgiveness comes for you to be able to have the strength to sit in a courtroom, to be able. That doesn't mean that you don't want justice. You want justice because he done something to you that you know that wasn't right. He took something from you that wasn't right. And God knows that. And God, and that's you got to put it in the Lord's hand. You got to take it out your hand. And within the system that we live in, you want justice because that's of the world, but you don't live of the world, you live in the world. And that's where God comes in, and that's when you have to give it to God.
Now
You
you
do
do
what you have to do in the world.
right. You do know that people are watching this going, I can't be like that. I can't be like her. I can't.
Yeah.
How is she that way? How?
Like I say, it's knowing who God is, and knowing that God has the last say so, and knowing that He's the one that has the upper power, that He has the strength, that that you have to live, and that you have to realize a chapter in your life is what He put in there, and He gave me Him for 29 years, and for those 29 years, I'm thankful. And now I have memories that's going to live with me forever. It will never go back to the same because I never have him with me, his body, and talk to him. But I would always know that I had him for those 29 years and those memories that I have, his son that I have. And I thank God for the opportunity of being able to bring him to be selected as the one that brought him in this world, and to be able to see him blossom with that seed that was inside of me, that he grew and to come out and to become the man that he became. And I'm thankful for the opportunity to have been his mother, for those 29 years, and to see his son grow into the man that he is proud of, and that I'm proud of, his mother's proud of, his uncles and his other grandparents. He has it takes a village, and we're going to be that village for him. And we're going to let him know how much his father loved him and how much he meant to him.
Tommy, it's all yours.
Katie, we're struck by how difficult this is for you to share even now. Here you are doing, even as you continue to grieve. Were there times when you felt alone, that God was not there? And when did you transition into knowing and feeling his presence through this journey that you've been with the loss of your wonderful?
Yeah, I asked God, how much more can I take? How much more? Why me? Why I have to be the one to go through this? And it's always, questions that you don't get answers to, but God say, believe me, I got you. And that is what gives me the strength to go on. And if trust me, it's times that I didn't think even today, it's like I say, it's not. I have good days and bad days. I have good days where I can look at his son and smile and be so happy. Go to Chuck E. Cheese and watch him play, and wish that my son was here to see it. But knowing that I was there to enjoy it for him, and I know that he's happy to see the young man that he's growing into. He's a happy young boy, and with that, in that courtroom when I had to look at the person that killed my son, and I asked God, to give me that strength to sit there. But the hard part was that he didn't show no remorse. That was hard. That was hard, because I know that for him not to own up to it and to show no remorse, it's going to be even hard on him because he's not allowing God in his life. He's not asking God for forgiveness. So, but I'm asking God to continue to give me the strength. And I ask God to allow me to forgive him and let me continue to live and live through, I wouldn't say without hurt, because I still have pain. I still have hurt. I still have tears in my eyes now thinking about them, so, but just to go on.
Mm. And go on in the presence of the Lord. It's you're amazing. I agree with Homer. What an example for all of us. Would you please share your son's name and tell us about your son and what you most remember, what most touches your heart about this fine young man you raised, Katie Doll.
Oh, he was a chef. He was a hard worker. He was a loving, forgiving person, extremely forgiving. Believe you me, I know that he forgive the person that did, because this was somebody that he was a friend of his that he thought he was helping. So he did it, and where other people would give him the opportunity, he gave him a chance. So in his own heart, he felt that he did the right thing, even though what he did to him, if he would have lived through it, he would have forgave him, because he's a forgiving person. He's very forgiving, and he's a very loving, family oriented person. He loved family. He loved life, and I know that he lo- he was a, I wouldn't say a mama's boy, but in so many ways he was, but that's okay too, because he had a heart of gold, and like I say, I couldn't be no proud of being his mother, to see the man that he turned into,
Mm.
and to see the accomplishments, even with his son, with the choice of the woman he chose to bring the child in this world.
Katie, of course, at the start line of life, we never know what is around the turn, right? Day to day, moment to moment, year to year. When you think back of your praying grandmother, do you look back and say, "This is God. He was helping prepare you for
Yeah,
this birth"?
yeah, yeah. I know that God prepared me with the grandmother of the choice that she selected, and she was the sweetest woman in the world. I thank God for my grandmother. My mother, she was a firm believer. She was strong, so I thank God for her too, because she raised me to be strong. And my grandmother, she showed me the love and the attention and the affection and the faith. Um, and I'm thankful for that, because with her, it's funny that because I have my oldest daughter name is Amanda, and she named after my grandmother, and I named her Amanda because I used to play with dolls, and I always tell her when I had my first child, I'm gonna name her Amanda. And my grandmother used to tell me, "I want you to be a nurse." I said, "I can't do it. I can't take the blood and all of that." And I said, "But my daughter, she's gonna be a nurse," and she did. She grew up to be a nurse practitioner, and she's named after my grandmother. And I said that as I think I was like maybe 8 years old when I used to say that. So there go again another indication of faith and believing. And that's what I did. I believed that I was gonna have my first daughter, and she was gonna be a nurse like my grandmother wanted me to. So I'm thankful for all of that, and I'm thankful for the opportunity of having her as a grandmother, and having. I'm just thankful for the family, the sister, the brother, the nieces, nephews, children, all five of them. And I'm thankful for just the life I live. I mean, I'm thankful for the opportunity to be to volunteer, the jobs that I have, and with Sister McCann, being able to help the homeless, and be able to be a land coordinate for program coordinator for McCann Brown Home Sanctuary. I'm I'm just I'm thankful for the life that I have. I'm blessed. I'm really blessed. A person asks me all the time, "How am I doing?" And I say, "I'm blessed."
Yeah,
I can talk all day and tell you about all the pains I have, but ain't nothing that gonna do more than what I am, and that's blessed.
you're blessed and you're a blessing. I mean, that smile, I would love to carry that. I certainly will in my mind's eye. I think we all will. Joy, regardless of the circumstances. He's given you, the Lord has that that transcends all understanding. How important is it to talk about, you love, you serve, that's what you and your family do. Uh, how important is it to do that kind of thing to try to get away from grief, to try to get away from, I would think, and I say this with great humility, the natural inclination to turn in as opposed to reaching out to others? How important is that to you in your own healing?
Well, it's important, but it's for me, it's more important for me to go in my inner self and know the faith that I have within me, and knowing that God is the answer to my overwhelming of just being a part of this world, and not to live in this world, but not to let the world, you know, you know, I'm I know the words, but I don't know how to put them. It's like I live in this world, but I don't let the world dictate who I am. You know what
Mm,
I'm saying? I don't allow the world because you have to live within the world. You have to enjoy your surroundings, and I do, and I'm thankful for living in the time of of the world now. You know, I'm thankful for being here. I'm blessed to be a part of it. I'm blessed to see a lot of things and experience a lot of things, and to been through the things that I've been through. I know I couldn't have made it through without God. I know that. And with the faith that I have to made it through as far as I did, and to have raised five beautiful children and to responsible adults, and and I'm proud of every last one of them. And I'm
mm.
proud of my grandchildren and what they're doing. I have two grown grandchildren that is doing their thing, and I'm proud of them. And I have young ones that is still growing, and I'm proud of them. So and I'm thankful for the brother that I have, the sister that I have, the nieces, nephew. I'm just, I'm all around blessed and thankful for the life that the God given me. And it's, I'm thankful to see where I'm at now and what He has in store for me, what other chapters are to come, and I'm looking forward to them. And I'm embrace it with open arms. You
Mm.
know,
As you know, life comes full circle. I'm thinking to myself as you're sharing about being a grandmother. Now you're the praying grandmother, right?
Yeah, it is, and it's funny because my kids they tease me all the time. They said, "Mama, where's that sweet woman that when I was coming up,
Mm.
you wasn't that sweet with us." And I was like, "No, there's a difference. It's a privilege to be a grandmother. No, 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 don't get me wrong. It's a joy of being a mother, and it's an encouragement, and it's a beautiful thing to be a mother. But you're raising them. But when you have grandchildren, that means that your children that you raise, you watch them raise what you raise. You know what I'm saying? So it's a difference. You get to spoil them, you get to love them and adore them and do all of the good things that you didn't have the time to do because you were busy raising them. So now I get the chance to write a Christmas list and make it as long as I can, and show it to my parents. And like this is no, you need this to go with that. You need this, and then it's just like, oh no, you got to read them a bedtime story and all of that, and then for them to tell me, Mama, you know what you done started? Now I got to read a bedtime story every night, and all of this. I was like, oh, isn't it a pleasure? No, it isn't, Mama. So it's like I just get to laugh and enjoy and see all the good things, and I get to be that good, sweet grandma that my grandma was to me. I had a chance to be the mother that my mother was to me, and I have the chance to be the grandmother that my grandmother was to me. And that's a privilege. That's a pleasure that I cannot even begin to say how good that feels. That's the most wonderful, most remarkable feeling in the world. And that's another thing, as they say, as in faith, because you have the opportunity, as you say, to see that circle go all the way back around. And I do. I really, I enjoy that. I enjoy the. I'm gonna tell you, being raising your children and see them grow is a beautiful thing. And then the most important and the most beautiful, remarkable one is to hold that grandbaby and watch that grandbaby grow. And believe it or not, I'm a great grandma.
Wow.
Yes, I'm a
No,
great grandma, and
no.
he he's so fat. He's just so sweet, and he's and he runs that house. So it's just like, and then to see the youngest grandchildren take over and run their house, it's remarkable. And then to hear my grandkids tell me about their day, and to tell me, they views and what they see, and to actually, sit up there and say, no, you can't do that. Then they said, well, Mama, you didn't say that to us, and how can they get away with this? And how can they get to do this? And that, I couldn't do that. And I was like, that's different. That's it. They say, Mama, where's this woman at? Where'd she come from? It's like, so that I enjoyed it. I do. I really do. And it feels so good. It's a blessing. It
Those
really
great
is. It's a
know their
blessing.
love, and they'll come to
Very
know
good.
that it's the love of Christ that you're sharing with them. I have one last one, and then I'd like to turn it back over to Homer as we wrap up with great gratitude, Katie Doss. And that is, and Homer alluded to it earlier, saying, I can't do that. I can't be like Katie. There are so many who have had to bury children themselves, that worst pain that we pray never happens, but somehow God uses it as he has in your life. What do you say to allow them to walk with grace as you have? No matter what the day is, up and down, whatever, you keep going forward toward the.
You got to call on God, and you have to forgive that person. You have to. You have to. That's the most important thing. That's the hardest thing, is to forgive that person. If the person was murdered, or if the person was murdered, forgive the person that murdered your child. And then if the person wasn't, or if the child died, just you have to just ask God to give you the strength, and thank God for the time that you had with that child, and to memories no one can never take away from you. And those are important. Pictures, you know if you have pictures, it's even much better. The memories, they're in your head, and like I say, no one can take that. But you have to ask God to give you the strength, and just believe in the prayer of God, and know that it's gonna, it's no time frame or morning. And no, let no one else tell you that that it's time to move on. It's time to move on when you're ready.
Mm.
And when that, and you're gonna have good days, you're gonna have bad days. And there's no time frame of, okay, this is gonna take 2 weeks, this is gonna take 2 months, it's gonna take 2 years. It's no such thing. But with God, and with the strength of God, and knowing that you have God in your life, and you pray and you ask God to give you the strength to go on, you'll be okay.
Mm.
And you just have to pray, and just, ask God for that strength, and know that you're not in this alone.
Mm.
That's the hardest thing, is a person think that, my life is over, I got to end my life. That's the devil's work. You walk with God and not the devil, because the devil is busy. He's going to come stronger. But it's going to be times that you're going to have to be, and it's okay to cry. A lot of people think that, well, I should be finished mourning now. I buried my son, I buried my daughter. No, all you did was just start in one day at a time. And with that, on that one day at a time, it's just that, you did something that needs to happen that day, but that doesn't mean that your mourning is finished the next day. You're going to have the funeral, everybody going to be gone, and you're going to still have those memories. You're going to still have those lonely nights. You're going to still have those thoughts of, why me and why mine. But when those thoughts come, know that that child has done something that we all going to do. And that was just their expiration date, not yours.
Mm. Thank you for that, Homer.
I only got one. I want to know, how many times in your life you have heard God say, or felt God say, believe me, I got you.
I couldn't count. I cannot count. But
A,
I'm thankful
I'm
to know
guessing
that,
1,000.
huh?
I'm guessing 1,000. I'm going with
Yes,
1,000
yes,
times.
yes. You'll probably be a little under, but close to. Yes, believe me. Like I say, as a single mother, there's been many times that I had to call on him, and knowing that he was there for me through it all. And trust me, there was times when I was asking, "Where is you?" and knowing that, um, God gonna make a way. You know what I'm saying? That it's gonna be okay. It's gonna the life that I live, the things that I've done in my life, a lot of people can't see how I done it. And like I said, I didn't do it. God did it, you know. And I give God all the glory. I give God all the glory for my life, for what I've experienced, where I've been, where I'm going. Because I know I'm not finished yet. And He's not finished with me. And I thank God for the 4 children that I have here now. And I pray that they continue to live their lives and enjoy. And like I say, I'm thankful for the people that's in my life, that's been in my life, that left me and that did what I'm gonna do one day. But until that day comes, I pray that I continue to live this life with the joy of God's grace.
I think that's a signal that we're done, Katie. There's nothing to add other than to thank you, Katie Doss, for being on My Faith with Homer and Pip, our producer, and sharing your story. And as Homer has said, when Brent posts in about a week or so, it'll be out there for all to see. And our prayer is that, like with others, this might help you just a wee bit in terms of your healing. And thank you for sharing about your son, because it's very evident that he lives on through you in that smile. I want to be on the sideline, God willing, when the two of you embrace in eternity, because that's going to be something special.
It will. And thank you for
Thank you.
having me.
God bless you.
You.
Take good care.
God
We
bless
appreciate
you.
it. Thank you. This has been My Faith with Homer and Pip for the Homer, and Brent Young, our producer. I'm Tommy Pippin. We hope and pray you've been blessed today, and we trust you have. We'll see you next time. Lord be with you always.